Looks like our guy Jonathan Smith is getting fitzed by the MSU donor class. Let's dive in. You're listening to Can't Read, Can't Write. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can't Read, Can't Write, the podcast that proves Spartans can talk. I'm Mike Jones, joined as always by Mr. 4 and 0 at the Polish C League, Kevin Grek, 4 and 0. Okay, all right. And by Mr. What was his record in darts and pool again?
Oh,
Alex Plum.
Yike.
That was hurtful. That was not necessary.
No, that was a genuine question. Plum, you must have won at least once, right?
He couldn't remember.
So it's on you to say what it was.
Let's not. Let's just not. No, hurtful.
It was so kind of you to take us to your social club. And then Jonesy, do you remember when we walked in the back room with the pool table and the darts? He casually announced that he's won every time he's been here previously on that table.
I didn't hear that, and I think it's because I was fixated on one of the lights just not being on in the back room, and the bartender having to come back and be like, "Do you want me to turn on the lighting for half of this room?" And we said, "Yeah, I think we'd be okay with that."
That would be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Truly, though, the Polish Sea League did live up to my hopes and expectations for it. It is very close to as you described it. If I had just drawn it up, that was the experience. And I think the best part of our trip down to the greater Detroit area, because yeah, it was a win at Ford Field, but was it really? How much of this episode are we going to spend talking about the time that we spent in Ford Field?
You're moving too fast. I think we need to go back to the Polish Sea League for a second.
Sure. Let's go back to the Polish Sea League whenever you want.
I can live there.
Longtime listeners will know how much this podcast appreciates a wood-paneled experience.
Indeed.
Oh, good point.
Indeed. I even changed my location of recording, not due to bullying about the wall that's over here, but instead because I just wanted to flex the wood paneling.
Yeah, you can't talk about bullying or hazing or anything like that on this episode.
You're right. I'm sorry.
We have to be very precise with our language on this one.
Yeah. But anyway, if for those who maybe are of a certain age, they might recall going to Theo's in the East Lansing border. And I could best describe the Polish Sea League as if Theo's served alcohol and no food, except it was sort of antithetical in the sense that you had to pay for your Keurig cups. They had a Keurig menu on the wall.
It was nice, actually. The whole thing, I mean, I don't know how many bars you've been to that have a Keurig option that have like 5 different NA beers.
Yeah, it's very inclusive.
They don't have anything on tap, so you don't go for the tap. I should be clear about that.
I also want to be clear that if they had a tap, I would not drink from the tap.
You wouldn't drink from
there.
it. Yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair.
But it is, I say all of that with love, 10 out of 10. I think Greg's right. It met, maybe even exceeded expectations. You have to knock on a door to get in, which I think is my favorite feature.
Indeed. Yep.
It's a real vibe over there in Hamtramck.
I'm glad you had a good time. I'm happy to sponsor any listeners who are in the Metro Detroit area that want to become members at the PSL on Brombach Street in Hamtramck. So
do know you'll get an eye roll if you're not 50 plus trying to get in there.
100%. I will say, if you just go in with like 2 people and you sit at the bar, like no one is miffed by that. But when you roll in with a group of MSU clad 30 somethings,
yeah. It's not really the vibe that they're usually going for, is pregame tailgate. It's more of towny bar to be visited.
Alcoholic dad?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I didn't go straight home from work. I'm going to be here for about an hour and a half 2 hours at least before I make my way home.
That's right.
If you want to see it in the background, there are social media pictures that have comments about me from Jason Fry, which were the delight of my family members. In fact, my uncle sent a link to it to my dad. I found out
didn't
today.
see this.
So Jason Fry, big hit with the family over here. So thank you. Appreciate you, sir.
Oh, we've avoided talking about this game long enough, and
there's
news
no
of the
reason,
day.
is there, to talk about this game?
No.
Truly, it's I think we can say a couple nice things. I think we should be celebratory of Alante Brown.
Well, first we should acknowledge, listeners, yes, we know that Jonathan Smith is no longer the head football coach. And yes, we know the rumors about who is going to be named head football coach. But
more than rumors, reported on by multi-sourced, reported on.
Including reporters that have spent time on this program.
Yes.
A columnist, I don't think we shouldn't
sorry.
Name in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know all that. We're going to talk about it. But we had a lovely time at the game. We had some Little Caesars. We had some drinks. We ran into another friend of the program. It was a good time by all, right? And then and MSU got its first Big Ten win of the Jonathan Smith era. And the last
first Big Ten win in 4 years.
Yeah. That was. Look, I mean, I will say we've talked for many a week now that this team never quit. It was nice, in fact, to see them seemingly again find a situation where they were tripping over their own dicks and not actually face plant. They braced for the fall this time.
I would suggest that that's not what happened. I would suggest that they succeeded. They face planted, and then Maryland said, I bet we can out face plant your face plant. Sure. Allow us.
Yeah.
I don't know how Maryland football fans could possibly feel about their program.
Who's that?
Yeah, that's fair. What did you guys think about the attendance? Do you think Jay Batt on the field had already been making certain decisions? Do you think he looked up in the crowd and said, let's make this an annual event?
That's really hard because, in fairness, we had a conversation about not attending, and it was not anything to do with the product on the field. Let's not pretend like there wasn't meaningful inclement weather. Like, I mean,
it was bad.
I left when we reconvened in Washtenaw County, and I had to go the remainder of my distance. There were not lanes.
Yeah,
I had to use the rumble strip to guide my way home,
to know where you were on the road.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, it was not a good drive back. So I do think it is a little much to say that it was exclusively due to the product on the field. But if you wanted to counterpoint, you would appropriately point out that they were giving away 2 free tickets to anyone who had tickets to the game, as a way to fill the stadium. So your point is not totally lost. If MSU had a good product on the field, do you think that place would have been full?
I mean, it was 2 years ago.
That team was bad
then. Yeah. But also they structured the tickets differently. At that point, they made the effort to make it at least like an add-on to the season ticket package, whereas this was entirely separate from your season ticket package. And I think that was a factor in all of this as well.
Sure. Okay. Mismanaged business then. I don't hate the event. I mean, I don't think it's an every year thing, but.
Well, we're only going to be at home every other year for the last game of the season in all likelihood. So
could you imagine how poorly that game would have been attended if it had been in East Lansing?
I maintain that the bodies would have been different, but the volume of them would have been similar.
Okay, so
because then those tickets would have been in. Yeah. Okay. Point taken there. But without the expense of presumably renting Ford
Sure.
Field
Sure.
without the expense of moving everyone down there, all of that stuff.
And the bad pub, like people yell at you about the football, high school, blah blah blah, and just losing out on dollars to the community. I understand, but I would go
Especially
again.
when, yeah, I would go. Of course, we'd all go again. It's an opportunity to go to the Polish Sea League and to own the two of you at darts and pool. So yes, of course we would go again.
Describing
no
our game as
doubt.
owning is a
It's
little
hurtful.
generous.
Yeah.
Honestly, all of our games were very competitive,
Hurtful.
except for the one.
Except for the one. And that was only because you were a real douchebag. I mean, you did the thing you're supposed to do, which is utterly run up the score. So I can't, I mean, I'm just a bad fucking sore loser is really all I have to complain about. But I'm still sore about it. Wow.
I do want to say a couple nice things about the game that we did watch. The team continued to show tenacity and fight. This time it went all 4 quarters. Alessio Milivojevic had an incredible game. I think he ended up with a 69.4% completion rate, 3 tutties, over 300 yards. Great game. Or no, sorry, 4. I think it was 4 touchdowns. No, 3.
It was touchdowns, though. It was plural, and that's the important part.
Yeah, and then Alante Brown, who I'd made half jokes at the beginning of the season that I hope that man gets to score a touchdown in his college career. It truly seemed like he was not going to, and then finally did. Shout out to Graham Couch, who did a great human interest piece on Alante, who has been dealt as much as you could imagine and more. I believe his fiance is currently in the hospital having suffered a gunshot wound, and has been for a very long time. That's in addition to, I believe, losing his mother to cancer earlier this year. I'm not laughing out of it. It is a parade of terribles that has been visited upon his life, and to have broken his foot and then have the resiliency to maintain his athleticism and come back and get this one moment on a college career that's been plagued by injuries. You have to be happy for that human being.
Yeah.
And if not for nothing, I think we all acknowledged and have acknowledged that this team continued to put in effort. And from an effort perspective, represented our university well, even if the wins and losses, and there are a whole bunch of other things that were not. It was good to see them get one, if we can be human beings for a second.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good bridge into, as I did the outline for this episode, I'm going to take this over. This is a good bridge into the announcement that was made today, this afternoon, that Jonathan Smith has been dismissed as head football coach at Michigan State University. For the 2 years that we had him, for you guys, what is his legacy? On the positive side, what you just outlined, Jonesy, and in fact, what we got a preemptive question on Blue Sky about from Ben. On the positive side, I think there's very little doubt, as Ben saying, that he was able to keep the team motivated for 4 quarters every game, and that they never gave up, which was impressive considering how much they sucked. That's Ben's language. We would never say that about the team.
No, we'd say they were dog shit.
So I that's what I'll always remember. And even still today, and I know that all programs do this, they rally around their coach at the very end, but there's lots of videos, Milivojevic giving Jonathan Smith the ball, a lot of guys dabbing him up in the locker room last night because the writing was kind of beginning to be on the wall about what was about to happen. They played for him and they cared about him. And I think all 3 of us can imagine a scenario where Jonathan Smith is a successful football coach again someday. It's just not going to be here for all the reasons that we've talked about all season. Plum, when you think back on the Smith regime, what are you going to remember?
I'm going to remember a guy who, well, let me say this. Last night, down on the field, watching Maryland try to win, almost win. I saw a man in Jonathan Smith who himself had not given up. He was pacing. He was nervous. He was engaged. He was also quiet in a way. He seemed also uninspiring, maybe uninspired. These aren't like these are just observations. They don't have a ton of. They have a little bit of value judgment in them, but they're not intended to be sparkling reviews of a man. I think the comment by Kevin G and by Jay Batt in the announcement that he was being fired played up the man's honor and integrity, and I think he had that in spades. And I think we didn't really know what to do with that. Frankly, this has not been a program that can be defined much by integrity or honor over the last several years.
I mean, it was for the D'Antonio years, and then
fine. I mean, toward
we
the end,
lost our way a little bit.
Yeah,
but now we're back again.
I would say D'Antonio's departure was anything but integrous or honorable. It was a cash grab, and it was disreputable. But I think if you were here, that was our fault for writing a contract that way.
There we go. Yeah, he would say that was because of the contract, and that would also be because of.
I mean, at that point, when you make that much money, though, when you make that much money.
That's Bill Beekman.
Bill Beekman's an imbecile, and he himself just drips with ooze, and that ooze is full of lack of integrity. I'm off track. My point in telling you this is, I think that Jonathan Smith was a highly, a person with a tremendous amount of character. Unfortunately, for a number of contextual factors beyond his control, and the fact that I just don't think he has the personality. I think he will go down as a blunder hire. That people thought, oh, Oregon State, yeah, that can translate. And I think it just goes to show that these are remarkably different conferences, remarkably different contexts, and remarkably different needs if you're going to compete at the level we expect in the Big Ten.
I want you to hold that phrasing, the remarkably different, because I want to use that later on when we talk about who's coming next. But I do want to zero in on a part of the statement that I found very intriguing from Jay Batt and Kevin G. Quote, the 2025 football season has not lived up to our shared standards for Michigan State football. While that does not fall solely on Jonathan Smith.
There it is.
It's become necessary to make a coaching change in order to chart a new direction for the program. That reads to me what we've been discussing here, which is that rich, bitchy fucking billionaires were not going to engage. And maybe this is partly a Jonathan Smith was not capable of engaging them. I have questions about that. Like, based upon what we've heard about, I mean, the cat's out of the bag. There's like 8 different podcasters talking about the fucking donation that's going to come in a matter of days. The amount, like, this idea that Jonathan Smith was remotely necessary to get money is bonkers to me.
Yeah.
But this, while that does not fall solely on Jonathan Smith, is doing a lot of heavy fucking lifting there.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I don't disagree with you, Plum, on a lot of the personality traits. I think it's been well documented that it's frustrating. I don't know, though. I forget who called this out. It was one of our listeners, and I thought it was pretty fucking astute. You know who's also kind of monotone or stoic? Fucking Nightingale.
Yeah.
But you know what he does? He wins.
He wins.
Yeah. And so, I understand when we're all so frustrated why you want to see someone else live your emotions too, right? Like, I think that's a really human experience. But I guess I'm kind of also saying that we wouldn't care if we were winning. Like, you don't need your coach fist pumping on the sideline the way you do in your living room when you're winning.
Yeah. It's a
So
great narrative when your balls of steel guy, down by 3 in the fourth quarter of the Rose Bowl, and your team comes back, and you just appear unflappable on the sidelines, and
right.
then it's an amazing narrative of like this
Right.
guy, he can't be knocked off his feet,
Yep.
But when it's everything's going wrong and the vibe becomes he doesn't get it, he doesn't understand it, he doesn't care to do anything about it. It doesn't work for you in that case.
Graham makes this point in his column on the subject, his quick takes on the firing and the hiring, where he says one of the things that our incoming will have that Jonathan Smith did not was the ability to communicate at a high level. This is a damning comment for any Division I coach. And I want to suss it out a little bit with you both, because I don't know that we really ever got a chance to see Jonathan Smith's communication abilities. What I can say, of course, and this has been infuriating to, I think, the three of us over the course of the season, was the narrative on each of these fucking losses was the same. We got to do better. We're not doing enough. I mean, if that's
we
the
have
critique,
the try hard.
Got to try harder. Got to
kept being told that the try hard is there.
I mean, this is so maybe that's what Graham means by this inability to communicate at a high level. And if that's the case, that's great. But I think that there's even something higher yet. Maybe it's more esoteric, but I think it's what you're getting at. For me, when you make the point, Jones, about Nightingale being stoic, but he wins. You know who else was very stoic and who also won, but who had some fire in his belly? Was D'Antonio. And it was the whole like Michigan, he went there. And I get it because he had Spartan blood in him. That's the thing. And we'll talk about Fitzgerald. I don't know that we're ever going to get that with him, but there is something in the Big Ten. You've got to have a chip on your shoulder to an extent if you're going to be our program. And that I think we had hoped Jonathan Smith would have, being a state, Oregon State, in a state dominated by Oregon. It didn't happen. I don't think he ever really got that. And so that if that's the meta narrative for the communicate at a high level, I think Graham is really onto something. That will be for me the damnedest thing for Jonathan Smith.
Though, I'm gonna take my first shot here, and I won't. We don't need to go fully down this path. But I'm sorry. How many fucking Northwestern football fans are there? Like
dozens,
Michael. Communicate
dozens.
At a high level. What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
You're talking about Chicago's Big Ten team right now. How dare you? The second city.
I know there is already just so much slobbering happening for fucking Pat Fitzgerald, and I'm like,
we're in different media circles if there's so much slobbering.
Plum's talking about this idea that he can communicate at a higher level. What are we talking about? Is that a knock against Oregon State's academic standards and that Pat Fitzgerald went to Northwestern, or is it that Pat Fitzgerald was meaningfully pressed by the press at Northwestern where no one gives a shit about football?
It might be a reference to this Reese Davis game day interview that we're going to talk about when we get into the Fitzgerald of it all. Can we, before we do that though, before we bridge on over to Fitz, can we talk about some other areas where things went wrong with the Jonathan Smith regime?
Yeah.
Plum, do you want to share your picture of Aiden Childs? I think this is an area that we should spend some time with.
I wish I knew how to go from my phone to my iPad. Wait, I can. And by iPad, I mean clearly not my iPad, my MacBook.
Keep saying different. No. Name other Mac products first before you get there.
Listen, you're fully in the ecosystem over there.
Such a fuck up. Give me a second while this fucking thing
just
loads.
Use your high level communication and draw it.
I'm such a shit. Okay, here we go.
We're in the honors college.
Is there a way to share my screen?
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
There is. Hold on. Here it comes. Everyone, shut the fuck up for 2 goddamn seconds, you shitbirds.
Boomer.
You know that only like 15% of our audience watches on YouTube, right?
Oh, it doesn't. Well, then why are we even trying? At the end of the day, what are we really fucking doing?
I've got some thoughts on this for the rest of you after the podcast, but
yeah, that sounds right. Oh,
I know who's not going to like them the most, and it's Plum.
Okay, right. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. This isn't going to happen anytime.
Do you just want to G-chat it to me, and I'll bring it up?
No, I don't. Oh, because that was there. Jesus Christ. Listen, what I'm gonna describe this for everybody so that we can.
Great. As an audio medium, that sounds perfect.
I can't share my screen because fucking just
send it
safety
to me.
fucking things.
Send it
Christ
to me.
forsaken horse ass fucking bullshit.
G-chat it. G-chat it.
I'm texting it to you. That's
No,
what you get.
that doesn't help me.
I know. That's the whole fucking point. Here, I'm just going to hold it up to the camera and everyone can eat my ass. This fucking thing. Look at him. Look at him. What is he wearing? Describe it for the listeners. Describe what he's wearing, you fucking chodes.
Jogger, cargo pant,
Cargo
pants,
sweatpant joggers. I have a lot of things I want to unpack about this photo, not least of which is, well, let's
the
talk about the
Nalgene
cargo.
he's carrying with him.
The cargo pants are a real decision. Okay, there is a certain fuck you that one says to oneself when one puts on anything with cargo pockets. Anything. So that's inexplicably awful. But the second thing that I hate, and this is I'm seeing, we actually saw this with consistency across the football team. Only Michigan State, Maryland weren't doing this. They look like very long, maybe extra long white T-shirts that are pulled down under their pads and jersey, but over on top of their football pants. And they are grabbable. They look like blouses. They're skirting. He has them in the photo here, which is, again, ass backward. You're not playing football. You quit playing football 2 years ago, as far as I can tell. And so the idea that you're dressing like them without real, and then everyone else dressing like an imbecile so they can be grabbed and tackled, which of course was what we're very best at. So all of this awful, another failure of leadership if we're really going to come for Jonathan Smith, but Childs looked terrible. And he actually ran by Jonesy and I at one point after the last touchdown of the game. And I just stared at him with my mouth open, like, this sort of like gross, slack-jawed look of regret.
I brought all this up because he didn't participate in the game and he did not appear to be injured. But his career is obviously over, I think, at Michigan State at this point. And
yes.
I think Jonathan Smith, in deciding to go down with that ship, we knew that he was expensive, but we didn't. I think we knew that he was a
at Michigan State
$33 million buyout potential expensive player. There were also coaching hire issues that happened. The offense regressed. Maybe our O-line coach is a savant, but we didn't see it over the time that he was in East Lansing. Obviously special teams has just been blunder after blunder after blunder, other than, some individual efforts that were spectacular. The roster construction, I think this is an area, to your point, Jonesy, not entirely his fault, but also something that he owns. We're going to talk about what the team is doing right now. Mekhi Frazier is already in the portal, starting running back.
Oh, no.
Who cares? Yeah. I'm sorry, Mekhi. Appreciate your efforts here, but I have a feeling we're going to be able to find someone that can replace your output.
Can I just say something really quick? Because this was prescient last week. I listened. For anyone who didn't listen last week, you should have. I listened for the first time in eons. I don't know when the last time I listened was. If I can't listen to myself talk, I don't generally tune in. But
it only happens when you're in Nepal. It's a Nepalese only.
It is.
Against my better judgment, I tuned into the whole thing, and long as it was enjoyable. You both made a point about Jonathan Smith's loyalty to his coaching staff and to some players, particularly Aiden Childs and Jack Velling. You used the phrase "gave raises to," and I thought this was really, really, really something that I if I had been here, I think I hoped I would have asked you to unpack a little bit more, because for me, I think in retrospect that if that's what this was, these are my guys, I'm going to invest in them. There's no way they'll fire me with this $30 million buyout. It's going to take 4 years to build a program, but these are my guys and I'm going to do it with them together. And this idea then, if true, and I think there's probably some truth to it, that will, for me, come down as his biggest blunder. That will be the reason why he is no longer the coach at Michigan State, because he surrounded himself with fucking ineptitude. And we got the worst team in the Big Ten as a function of that in year 2 of his tenure. Is that kind of what you, I feel like I'm restating it to an extent, but would you elaborate any more on that?
Yeah, I mean, when he brought over his staff, this is documented. It's empirical. They got massive, like 50% raises just by virtue of going from Oregon to Michigan, just flying across the country. There's something about that flight over in that jet that was like, oh my God, I'm a 50% better football coach now. Incredible.
In a flyover state at that.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously that didn't end up happening. You know, if you build it, they don't always come.
No.
And we saw that over and over again. Jonesy.
I think the other thing, as it relates to the players, Plum, something Greg talked about last week, which we are definitely not getting with this fucking jabroni coming in, is the idea of bringing a team with you. I think we talked last week. I know Greg and I had talked on the phone about it. This idea that whoever the next hire was probably should have geographic proximity to Michigan State as well, because the idea of bringing your players with you, it's all well and good when you're making millions of dollars, but even well-paid student athletes now, it's a lot of money to fly your folks out every weekend, and you're not able to necessarily fly home on a weekend. And so geographic proximity, look at SIG, JMU, Virginia to Indiana is more tenable than Oregon to Michigan, right? Like there's a geographic distance there that is not surmountable for a great number of people. And so we didn't see a ton of Oregon State players come. And so even if we said for the moment that Childs and Velling could be great, and that there were good to decent to fine players at Oregon State who could have performed well at Michigan State, even if we're not like talking all Big Ten or even performing like SIG did, right? There's a critical mass that did not join Jonathan Smith. And so as a result of that, Childs and Velling got massive pay raises to suck. Though I do think we can say with statistical certainty at this point in time that maybe Velling didn't suck. Childs just sucked. Velling has been performing well ever since Alessio Milivojevic became the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's not controversial at this point in time. I think the fact of the matter is that Childs is not ready to be a Big Ten quarterback and probably lost some confidence along the way. And shit happens, like it is what it is, but shouldn't have been in a starting position. Wasn't ready for it. And was not meaningfully pushed because he transplanted to a program in chaos. I mean,
and because he transplanted to a situation where this was not a Mark D'Antonio, we think we have our guy, but you earn your spot. The narrative from the beginning was he's the starting quarterback.
But Kevin,
that's it.
Right. But I think that it's worth remembering the situation that he came into, which is that you'll recall Andrew Scarfar was the starting quarterback in a Big Ten game. And if you don't know who Andrew Scarfar is,
I believe it's pronounced Scarfar.
He was a walk-on quarterback because Sam Levitt rightfully said, "No,
decided not to die for this program.
I am not using my redshirt year on this bullshit." And you might say, "All right, well, he shouldn't have left." Okay, like his justification was pretty fucking weak, but whatever. It is what it is. Like there was not a quarterback in the room. The quarterback coach showed up for the meeting and was looking around like John Travolta in the meme from Pulp Fiction. Like,
yeah,
there was no one there. So,
I mean, that may be about to happen again. It's going to depend on Alessio's decision.
I will also say this. I've not done the full math on everything. There's a great number of commits who are not changing their commitment, which is kind of interesting.
Well, it could be because they don't have other offers worth taking.
That's possible too. But anyway, yeah, I think Plum, you're right to double click on that. I just
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Smith was not able to bring with him maybe what he hoped he was going to be able to bring. I
Sure.
don't know.
Anything else on this before we put the fork in Jonathan Smith and move on? Listeners, you want some inside podcast baseball? We weren't going to record an emergency podcast about firing Jonathan Smith because it seemed like such a foregone conclusion. Why bother? The reason we're here is because the overwhelming smoke of who's going to be hired to replace him.
And we can't call it an emergency if this is our normally scheduled.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yes.
But we did want to go tomorrow because I traveled literally all day today. But yes, I had some swear words I wanted to say about who we're going to hire, and I didn't want to do that with there's going to be an extra person in the house who doesn't like the swears.
Okay.
So
that's for being a coastal elite. That's very Midwest, and I'm sure our listenership can appreciate that. So we should say it's not official at the time of this recording, but Graham and Solari are reporting in the Free Press, and others have now picked it up that
nationally,
by all
too.
accounts, Pat Fitzgerald will be named the next head football coach at Michigan State University. Those that have listened to this for a long time and have watched for a long time will know that he is the longtime head coach in the Northwestern Wildcats, played there during their Rose Bowl years, coached there for 17 years, took them to some Big Ten championship games as part of being in the Big Ten West, perhaps the weakest division in Power 4 sports, and was fired for a hazing scandal that was revealed by the student newspaper, which we should definitely touch on. But now he's going to be back. He's been on the media trail. I referenced already a Reese Davis game day interview that you can watch on Twitter. And the word interview is very accurate here. It's basically, if you're wondering what it would be like to be an AD interviewing, Pat Fitzgerald, you can just watch this because he answers every question like it's a job interview. And it's got that like job interview, like smarm to it. But guys, Plum, your thoughts, Pat Fitzgerald.
I got to say this. I think this is awful. I think this is one of the worst, and I hope I'm wrong, and I want to be wrong, and I want someone to audio clip this and come back at me hard next season, and I will be happy.
We hope he succeeds.
Well, we always hope that he succeeds, but I think the balance of evidence, I mean, Graham, I love you, and I think Graham did a good job of holding some tension here on Graham's own personal affinity for Pat Fitzgerald. But if we are,
he's not going to like that.
But if we are citing as the balance of the positive hope for him, a fucking interview he did 3 weeks ago when he's been out of a job for 2 years on his preparedness to compete in an era of NIL. And I'm sorry, this is a man. What was it? I was looking at these. He was 110 wins, 101 losses in 17 fucking seasons at Northwestern. I think he went
his last 2 seasons,
4-20,
1-8 in conference both years.
He bowl games. Let's talk about bowl games. In 17 season, he went to a bowl game 10 times. So you'll have to forgive me when you're batting 550. Like I'm not sure that that's the statistic I'm leading with. Like and again, maybe I'll say, well, Plum, shut the fuck up. Northwestern is a garbage team. The fact that he was able to do that well, at Northwestern says everything that it needs to. Okay, maybe that's true. But this is a guy who, at the time, had the biggest fucking leg up you could have. 6 of those seasons, 7 of those seasons, someone's going to yell at us because I didn't do the research on this, but at least 6 or 7, maybe 8 of those seasons was under the now defunct Big Ten West when he was competing against Wisconsin and Iowa for a place in, I mean, that's a handicap. With a handicap that significant, he should have been in a fucking bowl game every goddamn season. So, you got to miss me with Pat Fitzgerald as the second. I mean, I don't think anyone is saying he's the second coming, but so I have another point I want to make later, which is the other point that Graham makes, which I think is actually very insightful. And I wish Graham had said more about it, is the alignment factor, which is Graham, I'm going to say this, man, I could be wrong. Graham coded language, which was very wealthy donors did not like Jonathan Smith, did not feel like they were in on the Jonathan Smith hire, and therefore worked hard to fuck Jonathan Smith every way but sideways. Yeah, and that seems to not be the case here. But I want to come back to that. But let's stick with this now.
Yeah, because I want to table for a second, because I think it deserves time on its own. And this is maybe more attributable to Jay Batt, a.k.a. Dick Fingers. The whole process. Because you fired and announced, essentially announced in the same fucking day. So particularly considering the bitching by billionaires about Alan Haller not including them in the process, and then we got here.
Yeah,
I want to come back to Dick Fingers and how he came up with Pat fucking Fitzgerald.
I think we can be explicit about this from information that we're getting from certain media members. It sounds like they decided after the game last night, the athletic department, to tell certain media members what was going to happen, that he was going to be gone, and that Pat Fitzgerald was already deep into conversation with them.
Right. And so, but getting to Pat, there's a bigger conversation about process, about how you fucked Jonathan Smith through all of this. How you fucked the recruits. Like, why did you wait until fucking now?
This man's not been busy. This could have happened a month ago.
Yeah, presumably. So let's come back, because I think Jay Batt deserves some vitriol in all of this. And it's maybe best to do it at the end, after we've got done undressing or dressing, whatever the fucking expression is. SPF 90 Pat Fitzpatrick is what I'll be calling him now. So Plum, you're right. Dude went 500 in the Big Ten West. His worst 2 seasons are the seasons that the portal and NIL existed.
And there are 2 outcomes, 1 and 8, his last 2 years, that are worse, unless you believe in vacated wins, worse than the guy that we just fired.
And Greg, I don't mean to. I want to say it because you said it last week, and this was such a smart point, that he has no one to bring with him. He has no team. Yes. He has no friends. And you know why he doesn't have friends? Because he was a fucking pariah while he was out of the game. We'll get to that in a second.
Clearly, you have not listened to the Reese Davis game day interview, because he's been on boards. He's been talking to other coaches. He brandished a list.
Something.
That's a list of the assistant coaches that he'd like to have on his future upcoming staff, as if that means anything. I mean, we'll see who he ends up getting to hire.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to have Lane Kiffin come in and run my offense, and
he's definitely not been talking to recruits. He's definitely not been talking to high school or, different club coaches. He's definitely he has not been talking to the guys on the current roster, although I don't know truly how much that matters in terms of fielding a team that competes at least at this level for next year. He doesn't bring with him a winning established program. He's bringing with him a history of doing okay in the Big Ten
West.
That's it.
We need to stop saying that he didn't. okay in the Big Ten.
before.
We need to be more specific.
And NIL did start to exist in his last 2 years. He did horribly in those years. And in this Reese Davis interview, he does acknowledge the existence of NIL, and he says about doing NIL with rev share and within the guardrails. So that's great.
That's just a thing you say.
Doing NIL.
Hi, Graham, is this the high level communication you were talking about? I want to get a pin in this real
I'm
fast.
paraphrasing here.
Oh, okay.
In fairness to Fitzpatrick, I am paraphrasing.
that we're keeping that. Brother, you need to go to the college football playoff before I call you by your real name from now on.
100%. Yes.
So
prove me wrong.
And I think being in the Big Ten West is why I just am not particularly interested in this argument that, Northwestern has academic standards. No, we're not doing that, because you did go to the Big Ten championship game a number of times. By the by, it's worth remembering that in the entirety of the Big Ten East and Big Ten West, the Big Ten West never won that fucking game. Not once did they win that game. And so but fine, you were a mid-level Big Ten East team for a few times during your tenure.
Big Ten West team.
No. He was top level Big Ten West. Which
so you're
means
saying
he was
transitive property, he would
Yes.
have been, gotcha.
a mid-level Big Ten East team.
Understood.
The fact that you were not able to sustain it, and I think this is particularly telling because it was in a time where you had a free shot to compete against Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State for a Big Ten championship. You also had the strength of an excellent academic school, and you clearly were capable of recruiting well enough to get to that space. It's in the same way that I don't give Ferentz a pass for fucking anything at Iowa.
That's right.
How were you not in the Big Ten championship game every single year?
Yes.
Or Nebraska, just as a program.
It is a testament to how much you all suck. And so this idea, stop talking about him being coach of the year one year. I don't care. Because you know those are charity cases. Because if we're being real, look at how many times did Coach K win Coach of the Year in the ACC? It's like 3 times. What? How many times did
whenever
Saban win Coach of the Year?
Yeah,
because
it's like when LeBron doesn't get the MVP, and it's like, well, you can't just give it to him every year, so they find someone else to give it to.
Right. So right. These awards are for fucking charity cases, and I'm done with it. And so I just between the lack of connection, between the fact that he actually sucked, and he sucked in a division that sucked.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Well, I know what we're doing, and Plum got to it earlier. And you referenced this by all accounts, and this has not been reported, but there are lots of podcasters talking about it. And I think Spartan Tailgate included it in their statement. There appears to be a substantial donation on the horizon. Substantial might be underselling it. We'll find out this week. It sounds like. Last week, I got called out by the social media manager by saying that I was flip-flopping, saying that we need a coach that appeals to the donor class. And what I was saying was we're in such a death spiral right now that really we can only buy our way out of this thing. Well, we've done it. This is the guy that appears to be built in a lab to appeal to the donor class and to a class of media. Jonesy, you're talking about, all of the fluff stuff that's happening. I'm seeing it a lot with like established older media that it seems like they don't particularly care about MSU's wins and losses. They care about like college football is better with Pat Fitzgerald in it. It's one of those things. It's like, it's just good to have old Pat back,
College football is better when Virginia Tech is good.
Yes. It's one of those. It's not particularly wow, this is a really good hire for Michigan State. I expect that they're going to be competing for a Big Ten championship in the next 3 years. It's like, it's good to have old Patty back, you know? It's good to see him.
Can I interject? Because I have a testimonial to this real quick. Sorry. I got a text today from someone who's of my parents' generation, sending me the link to the news as if I didn't know that this had happened.
Yeah, I got a lot of those today too. And in fairness, I did send a couple of them as well.
Credit to this person who led with IMO. Shout out you. But he is a high character guy and a great coach. Would be an awesome hire. I think of an age. Okay.
Yeah, but can I play devil's advocate for a moment? Is it possible that I was right last week and that appealing to the donors is actually what matters now in college football? And maybe Jonathan Smith would be a better coach, but maybe Pat Fitzgerald will have greater success because he's gonna comb his hair over that one way that they like, and he's gonna present a certain way in a tweed jacket, and they're gonna be like, "I like the cut of your jib, Pat. Here's another $2 million. Go buy a quarterback." Is it possible, Plum?
He's not. This is a man that like he's known for his purple polo T-shirts. No one looks at Pat Fitzgerald as a bastion of style or. And why am I saying this? Okay, because Jonathan Smith wore T-shirts. He wore his polos, but he also
they were Patagonia vests. I think
they were. Well, he wore vests. He had a nice black Nike polo with some horizontal setting stripes that were also black. It was sharp. He was sharp. I look at photos of Pat Fitzgerald. He looks frumpy. So clearly the optics aren't it, which is why I'm challenging the assertion that communication means anything. I just don't know.
Can I plus one on your purple for a second? Just, is there nothing that rubs you the wrong way about a guy who was a lifer at Northwestern because he went to Northwest? No. This isn't me shitting. But Greg, I do want you to call back the thing I told you to call back about for Northwestern standards. But no, the idea that we're picking up someone whose dream job because he went there. Because we should actually applaud that for a second because that's something we would love. Yeah. Someone who wanted to come back and coach here because he was from here.
So many people that are like, hire Max Bulla just because he was our linebacker several years ago. You know nothing about him at all, but they're saying that. Continue, Jonesy.
The idea that man, who we do not, I don't question what his actual loyalty is our coach, bothers me.
Yeah.
He is a wildcat. He is. He's not. This isn't who's our tight end coach / recruiting coordinator who was a Badger, or fucking Mel Tucker, a Badger.
Yeah.
There was no loyalty there anymore.
Yeah. It's a good point.
I don't like it.
And now we're living up to the standard, I'm calling it back now, that he set at Northwestern. Like, all I know about Northwestern is him there. And it's been mid. Very mid. Although I will say, I have a colleague that went to Northwestern. We were chatting about this news, and he told me, quote, look forward to losing to him over the last 10 years. I don't know that I believe that. I actually don't know that he believes that. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. But
Plum, I cut you off.
No. I'm with you on this 100%. I don't know. The guy's the point I wanted to make, and I think this is, and we're past the Jonathan Smith thing, but this is what I was going to say about Jonathan Smith. This idea that these billionaires came for the guy because they weren't involved in his hiring says everything about them. And I can't decry. I mean, it's awful. It's immoral. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And this is what it is now. If they like Pat Fitzgerald for fucking frumpy purple shirt wearing reasons because he's 2 years out from a absolutely below mediocre run at Northwestern, and they're high on this guy because he talks smart on a fucking Reese Davis interview. Fuck off. This is the this is a stupider number of metrics to judge somebody by. And for all the reasons that you've said tonight or today and a week ago, I am desperately frustrated by this hire. And I'll just say by comparison, because you might say, well, then who the fuck did you want? And Greg, I think you had put it into the chat. The announcement earlier this week that Alabama's quarterbacks coach would be going to Oregon State. And this was devastating for a couple of reasons. One, I think we'd kind of all lightly hoped that maybe they would just call and Jonathan Smith would, well, we were joking about this, right? That he would just wake up from a fugue state and be like, oh, I never left.
I never left this place.
What happened?
Been in Corvallis my whole life.
The whole fucking time. So that was the thing. But more to the point, it also, how do you judge a quarterback's coach from Alabama? I don't know. Is this the same kind of thing as a Mel Tucker, Jonathan Smith thing where is a quarterback's coach at a program like Alabama any more tested than a Division I head coach? I would say on paper, absolutely not. The Division I head coach has got ultimate axe on the neck situation. And yet we've just seen Colorado, which is, what was that? Big 12? I don't know who Colorado even plays for. Were they a Pac-12 program?
They were another Big 12.
They were in the Pac,
okay, but they were then a Pac-12. So we've now pulled 2 Pac-12 coaches. That didn't do fuck all to this program. Wait, yeah, right? Yeah, Oregon State was Pac-12. So I say this to say, and now we're getting a bottom third Big Ten flunk out. And by the way, can I just say, I'm glad we're not spending any time on the hazing shit. I don't think we should. You can if you want to.
I was actually about to say we got to talk about the hazing.
Talk about it. I think I don't know, and I don't know. I guess I don't know. If true, Northwestern has put out a statement saying we don't think it was true. They were
obligated to.
The reports from the time say, it was true. He had to have known. I mean, so do what you want with that little fucking dance. But my just on the merits, putting that aside, on the merits, we flunked out with 2 Pac-12 Division I coaches, and now we're going with a bottom third tier flunk out Big Ten coach. And so I'm saying, why wouldn't we be looking at a coordinator from Auburn or a quarterbacks coach from Texas? I'm just, this for me is it's the guy who coaches for Green Bay. That's the guy I want coaching for Michigan State because he's hot.
Plum, you brought up several things there. One, I think I said before on this podcast that I had hoped that the person we'd hired I had never heard of.
The guy from Green Bay is hot.
You mentioned a position coach from Alabama leaving to become a head coach, and there's actually another story of a position coach from Alabama leaving to become a head coach. He didn't take a job as high up as Oregon State. He actually took I believe a D2 job, and he worked his way up to James Madison, and now he's fucking Kurt Signetti at Indiana and is the 3rd highest paid coach in all of college football. I'm with you. Like it's a little different Alabama now versus Nick Saban Alabama, but still, point taken. But I actually I've got a tweet here from Matt Brown, who's the author of Extra Points, which is a great newsletter if people want to check it out. But I think, Plum, it succinctly sums you up here, which is I legitimately don't understand this decision completely for on-the-field reasons.
Yes.
Like, we do need to talk about the other thing because we're Michigan State, and if we don't talk about it, we're being idiots.
Okay.
But on paper, if we're talking about winning, Also, what is Pat Fitzgerald getting that Jonathan Smith wasn't? That's my other question in all of this.
Well, yeah, we do know that one thing that Pat Fitzgerald got was a payout, and I think we also can speculate that it was, as much as we've talked about how MSU can barely afford the Jonathan Smith one, though I think it turns out we can. Northwestern is a private institution. We don't know this for sure, but it looks like they'd be paying him something like double what Jonathan Smith is getting.
So he was owed $80+ million at the time of being fired.
Correct.
But was supposedly fired for cause.
Correct.
He then sued for $130 million, which I actually think is a conservative number. That was a pretty reasonable number he sued for.
Yep.
Because it's not just the term of the contract. You can build in expectations that shit would roll over year. And so to not even double it is kind of crazy. But yeah, so I think to say that he probably got paid out well over what Jonathan Smith is getting is
double. At least I would say double's conservative.
Yeah.
So maybe one of the things that he's going to get that Jonathan Smith didn't get was maybe he takes a little less upfront. Maybe he's like, this is about my legacy. Maybe this is, instead of a market rate $7 million a year contract, $8 million a year, maybe it's like a 4 or 5. I don't know what it's going to be. And then you reallocate the rest of the money and the tranche that appears to be coming in on other things, whether that's direct NIL within the guardrails, of course, or whether that's you go spend big on a couple like high impact coordinators, and maybe instead of five assistant coaches making $1 million a year, maybe we have 9 assistant coaches making over $1 million a year. Like, there are things that you can start to do. You hire a big impact GM. I don't think we were impressed with the GM hire that was made. Recruiting coordinators, all of that kind of stuff. That is potentially one area where resource-wise, we're going to have potentially a lot more that we can throw at the problem than Jonathan Smith had.
Yep.
Should we go back to the hazing thing because we touched on it?
Yeah, and then what? Okay. And
that was
at some point in time, we also need to talk about the alleged size of the dollar gift we're about ready to get.
I don't know. Can we do that? Like, do we? No one's saying exactly what it is. The speculation is wild.
Well, let's say the stupid number we heard, and then talk about what percentage of money was just sent out the door of that stupid number.
Okay, let's be explicit to everyone listening in case this is wildly off. We do not know what the dollar amount is going to be.
No,
but go ahead and say
heard,
the stupid number.
I think can we say we've heard that it'll be the largest donation in Michigan State athletics history.
Yes.
And so we've heard a number. This is the dumbest number I've ever heard. And if it's true, my God, this is insane. But we've heard that Michigan State athletics is about ready to get a $400 million donation. Let's take that as true for the sake of argument. We're not reporting this as news because we think this is a dumb number, objectively dumb number. And this isn't inclusive of naming rights, which we suspect this person will also purchase later on. But anyway, if you're paying out $33 million to Jonathan Smith, and then let's not forget those coordinators who are also owed buyouts. We are talking a tenth of this game-changing gift that is going to be allocated across all athletics. You've taken 10% of your gift and pissed it away. And you're going to have to apparently dedicate all of this money that you're talking about, Kevin, to this brand new fucking staff?
Yeah.
I know we want to talk about the hazing, and we need to, but there's a level of stupid that's happening right now in our athletic department by good old dick fingers that I can't get over.
Well, yes. Okay, so let's bridge to that really quick. Are we in agreement, the three of us, that rather than firing him and going to Pat Fitzgerald, under the circumstances, if those are the options, Pat Fitzgerald or Jonathan Smith, I think we would all prefer, football wise, to just keep Jonathan Smith and roll the dice for another year?
I agree with that statement. I would have rather kept Jonathan Smith than hire Pat Fitzgerald. There's 17 years of data on fucking Pat Fitzgerald and how fucking mid he is.
I'm going to say this.
And for this thought experiment, Plum,
yeah,
it needs to be outside of the speculation that there's just going to be way more money for Pat Fitzgerald.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Same resources.
About, like, coach versus coach, same resources.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I'm with you. All right. I'm with you.
It's either you hire Pat Fitzgerald or you give the resources that Pat Fitzgerald's apparently going to get to Jonathan Smith.
Yep.
I'd absolutely rather have Jonathan Smith.
Yep.
It's not close.
All right,
so
now that Plum's left, should we talk about the hazing scandal and what it means for us?
Yeah. And then can we talk about dick fingers after that?
Sure.
Which apparently also was something that was played at Northwestern. So there was a fair amount of pretty severe hazing that took place at Northwestern, and involving forced nudity. It was all terrible things.
Can I just go ahead. No, finish.
Yeah,
you're serious. Yep. Go ahead.
No, I just, as a school that's dealt with things, I think it's worth. I'm going to say something nice for a moment about potentially Pat Fitzpatrick. Sorry. That it is not necessarily the fact that something bad happened. It's certainly not reflective of the people who attended that school. It's not reflective of everyone who was within that program. And so there's a lot we don't know, and there's more that we don't know because Northwestern is a private institution. There's a lot of information you don't have access to. Like, I want to be really careful here before I'm about ready to also say we should not have hired this motherfucker for this reason. But, like, we don't know a lot, and that's fair to say, right?
One thing that we do know, though, is that he was the head coach there for 17 years. And the other thing that we know is that this was apparently something that was going on for a very, very long time, and he was also a player there. Like, if this is something that was endemic and he's been there for that period of time, how do you pretend that you don't know?
How does that get up to you?
What argument? I'm sorry, that was imprecise language. How does one make an argument that one doesn't know?
I think, or said differently, but I think just as damning, if you don't know and you were the head coach there, what kind of culture have you created where people aren't escalating this to you immediately?
Let's go back to the Reese Davis interview. He actually said that. He said he talked to the guys, and the guys were like, I didn't want to tell you. We didn't want to disappoint you. There you go. That's your point.
That doesn't fly to me, because what does disappointing you look like?
Mm-hmm.
Because it should not be a disappointment to you. No one should actually feel that it would be disappointing to you that you raised something to, like, you should have a culture where no one would think that you would be viewed as a disappointment, right? I'm my second person pronouns are getting a little confused right now, but you get my point. I hope that Pat Fitzgerald has clearly not created a culture where someone felt comfortable raising an issue, because they feared they would be viewed as a disappointment.
One of the things that I'm sorry, I want to make fun of some of the shit that is alleged here because it is so insane. But I also want to recognize the trauma associated with any kind of sexual or emotional or other sort of harassment, hazing, and assault, which this very clearly seemed to be.
But now you've done that, you can get your jokes off.
Great. Having said that, having taken it seriously, having let you take it seriously for the podcast.
We've
Can I
all
just
heard
describe-
it. We've heard you said it. It's settled now.
Could I just, for those who don't know, you need to be aware that this is an act of hazing. And can I just say that this would not have been hazing to me if I had to endure it? Could I just describe for you the act
You were the worst. Keep going.
that would not have hazed me? This.
No, stop. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Stop.
I don't want to go there.
Oh no!
I'm sorry. This is awful, and I do want to. I'm re-acknowledging how awful this is, and what was reported. But just repeating what was reported without any subjective valuation of it. They had a thing called the car wash, where apparently, I imagine upperclassmen. I don't know who. I guess upperclassmen would basically form a tunnel, like people facing one another in parallel, creating a hallway or a tunnel of sorts. And they would turn around, revolving, and then
spinning.
They spun. and the younger hazies would have to walk through the car wash. Again, and the thing is, this is the size. The only way that this is actually you're getting hit with anything is if the size of the phallus is so enormous that it is able to fly off of the body and boink into you as you're walking along this tunnel of horror, which, again, I don't know. I would have been particularly upset to have gone through. I just don't. It doesn't quite pass the sniff test for me, only to the extent that, like, most penises are, unless you're very close, they're not dangling. Maybe I'm outing myself here, but they're not, it's just not.
Well, presumably this would have been in
confused.
the shower. Everything would have been very warm and loose. But yes.
Maybe. It seems like the balls are what really is likely to fly off the body and bang into you.
It seems
that
like
was
there'd
the
be a
point.
lot of stepping on feet that would happen in the car wash.
Honestly,
like a lot of it.
Very warty. I'm just getting wart. And frankly, and these are the things that actually I would not have enjoyed. So anyway, am I saying it didn't happen? Absolutely not. I always trust survivors. And I'm making fun of myself, obviously, in a multitude of ways, which I think you both have heard me clearly do here in several ways. Yep. And to say, if true, disqualifying. If true, shouldn't be hired to coach anywhere ever again. And by the way, his record already proves that.
I think we just got a gay remake of the Silicon Valley.
There it is. Very good. Very good.
Scene with
Very
the D to F.
That sounds right.
Ratio is what I heard.
So we've struggled to come up with a reason to hire Pat Fitzgerald other than he appeals to billionaires. That's it. That's where we're at. And apparently ex-players. A lot of the same ex-players that were starting to turn on Jonathan Smith are now out. And
Chris
very
Fry,
supportive.
I think, was a big one.
Cybert, Bulla, I think, said a thing or two. Same ones that had things to say before. I don't know what the guys over at We Are the Program have on this subject, but I haven't heard from them yet, as far as I'm aware. But I like we said at the top, if this is our guy, hope he has success now. But it's hard to see how that ends up coming to be true. Can be mid, can go to bowl games, sure. But success on the level that we expect.
Yep.
Is he going to win you a national championship? Is there anything about his coaching career that has indicated he's going to win a national championship?
No, the ceiling is definitely Big Ten championship game,
which
perhaps winning.
Yes, thank you. That's it. Yeah, and so and this is, but this is the program. This is the time. He's got it now. Worry not, your sweet, sweet little head. This is when he's going to do it.
All right, can we talk about dick fingers now?
We just kind of did. Didn't we just talk about? We
just did the whole car wash thing.
The car wash thing.
No, I'm talking about fucking J-Bat.
Where did this come from, this nickname that you have for him?
I don't know. I saw him at the game, and I just
He looks
saw.
old. Can I just say he looks old in person? He looks weathered.
He's not that much older than us, but I
I'm
guess
just
the
saying.
last several months, heavy weighs the crown over the last several
Maybe
months.
when you make that
perhaps.
much money, it ages you. I don't know. I need someone to explain this to me.
So, I should be able to try this for myself. I think we should we should set up an experiment.
I choose to believe that the expression or the word milk toast comes from the idea of one getting their sustenance purely from milk and toast.
Good.
And he strikes me as someone who has delivered milk toast for the entire fucking year that he's, or 6 months. I don't care how long he's been here.
Well, we said that we hired a sales guy, and it looks like we've been paying him maybe less than the commission that he's due, judging by the number that you cited earlier. But continue.
I mean, that'd be pretty shocking that he turned that around that quickly. But his crowning achievement thus far is to put up a beer garden. That is what he's done. He has not
on
delivered.
Field. You make it sound like this happened in like a abandoned lot of some kind, maybe directly to the
Truly,
east
it
of the
was
stadium.
on an abandoned lot.
No, I guess the beer garden was on Munfield. The little like family fun place was on an abandoned lot.
So he's had 3 major tests so far. 1, CMU. Failed.
Found wanting.
2, MSU sanctions.
Found
Failed.
wanting.
3, handling Jonathan Smith, which I guess 3A is Jonathan Smith, and then 3B is Pat Fitzgerald. And so there's why didn't we make a decision earlier question that I think is very valid. You can't hire this quickly.
To the Sheehan podcast for this, Lovey Sheehan said basically the timeline only makes sense, and had to disagree with him on that. It seems like the timeline would make sense if we did this 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like I said, the Reese Davis interview, he's been rehearsing this stuff for a long time. He was ready to go.
He was ready
The
to go.
decision could have been made. This decision that we're at right now could have happened a month ago, and the program would be in better shape because there would have been certainty over that time.
Yeah. And I bet you Pat Fitzgerald might have even agreed to be the coach in waiting for the entire period and let Rossi coach it, or who cares?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have done something on this front way differently than you did. And then I do think you need to say you made this hire. So there's the logistics of how you handled Jonathan Smith, which were, I think, unfair to literally everybody. And then there's you did all of this in silence. It's not clear that you actually vetted anybody other than Pat Fitzgerald. Right? Like, did the billionaires just point you there and you said, okay?
As long as I think we can reveal now that we knew that there was probably a search happening around the homecoming game.
Yeah,
we can talk about this in greater detail later, but I can personally vouch. I have reason to believe personally that there was a search happening somewhere around the
strong data,
strong indications that there was already a search happening. I don't have this explicitly. I just had pretty strong reason to believe that there was already a search happening around the homecoming game.
But I guess I'm a little baffled how you looked at the field and this is
where we ended up.
Yeah. That there wasn't someone who was coaching in this era that was available who hadn't been part of a hazing scandal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see what changes this week. If your number that you cited is correct, I mean, it does have an impact. That amount of money has to have an impact, but even a quarter of that has an impact. So
Yeah.
they are trying to build a football stadium. I'm guessing this,
You mean
and again, we don't have insider information on this. I'm guessing some percentage of this goes to that. I'm guessing some percentage of it goes to the capital plans that we know that they have for Jennison in some other areas. So anyway, is there anything else on this topic? We can talk about basketball really briefly before we close out the episode. Anything else on this subject before we go to the other sports?
I'll just say this. The Onion has a reoccurring headline every time there's a school shooting.
We've seen it. We lived it. We've been there.
Yeah. And I feel like that is, you could adjust that for MSU athletics. Because somehow this shit keeps happening to us. And I don't understand. I just don't understand. I hope Pat Fitzpatrick does a great job.
For those of you listening on the podcast, after that heavy sigh, Plum rubbed his whole face.
I mean, he's not wrong. I hate him, and he's not wrong. So
I hope he does a great job, but like, this is some of the dumber shit.
Yeah, despite everything we've said over the last 30 minutes, best of luck to you, Pat. We really hope that this goes well, and that we would love to be truly desperately wrong.
No, that is accurate. I would love to feel stupid for this entire episode, but there are 17 years of evidence to suggest I will not be wrong about this, and that there's a real ceiling to this motherfucker.
Well, I think that gets back to what I said before about certain media members just being like, it's good to have Patty back. It also feels a little bit like it's good for MSU to understand their place, and they've clearly leaned into it.
But I suspect that there is something to a media member's job. Right? There's an inherent bias, right, towards people who make your job easy. He's an easy person to talk to. He presents in a certain way. He quotes in a certain way. I get it.
What is it? He communicates at a high level or something. What was it?
But I think if you're a media person, in particular, if you're a media person who happens to listen to this podcast from time to time, you probably should ask yourself, what is the expectation of an MSU fan? And sure, expectations scale based upon season, but where do we want our program to be? And the answer is competing for national championships. If you've got some old person in your life that is indicating a standard other than that, that is the wrong answer. It is to compete for national championships. And does this
the expectation is not every year. I think we're not unreasonable about that, but the chance that it could reasonably happen.
No, but
eventually,
can we
at some
also,
interval?
Though I do think there's, if you compete for national championships, the idea that you're on national championship, the idea that you're going to compete for another one starts to compound over time, right? And so we absolutely want our football program, which is a national brand of substance, to be competing for national championships on a regular basis. Do we expect that to be overnight? No, but like,
to the point of it being a national brand of substance, did you see that Fox announced that the North Carolina game was their most viewed college basketball game of all time?
Wasn't it something?
Yeah. Yes, we're transitioning. I know. I'm just saying that I think folks who are covering this need to cover it in the context of, does this hire move the needle in that direction? And the answer is the university's failed here. Like, this isn't Mark D'Antonio hire time. Like, this is a very different era of college football. So that's my take.
Let's start with women's soccer.
Okay.
We're at an hour plus. Unfortunately, women's soccer in the Elite Eight lost to Stanford. in
Buzzsaw.
Palo Alto. They were the 1 seed, and they are a buzzsaw. Plum, what do you know about this Stanford team? I mean, it's a very strong program.
They're going to win it all, right?
They're probably going to. Stanford's been dominant in ways that are, the thing is,
averaging 5 goals per game.
I don't know.
Like, it's a
absurd.
They won
stupid number.
5-1 against.
It was a 5-1
us.
win. Yeah, it was not good. This is the third straight year, third or fourth, maybe, I think, that they've been to the College Cup, which is the name we give to the Final Four. They've won national championships a whole fucking bunch over the last 10 years. It's not really worth probably reciting, other than they're just fucking good. And in the Pac-12, they routinely win the conference. If Stanford's even in the Pac-12, does the Pac-12 exist? Is it the Pac-3? I don't fucking know.
They're not in the Pac-12 anymore.
Now.
Yeah,
are they ACC?
They're in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I'll just say this. Back when I was refereeing, I never refereed in the Pac-12, but everyone recognized that, for women's soccer at least, the ACC was always the best. The Big Ten and the SEC were fairly consistent. And then you really had nothing, and then the Pac-12 sort of existed literally on an island because it was just so far away. No one played against them. It was a high level of soccer because they didn't. There are some level, and you guys actually discussed this. I was actually impressed how you knew this, Michael. The in-state recruiting requirements. So that's actually well done, you. Anyway, so there are some
Look
restrictions.
at him blushing over there.
Yeah, he's happy. There are some weird requirements like that don't exist for other sports, and soccer is certainly an area where regional identity means a lot. And Kevin, you made the point about the Midwest and Michigan particularly punching way above its weight generally as a state and talent. But anyway, Stanford is an example of this, and so yeah.
All right, so there's soccer, and now we get to improve. So here we go. Hockey. Had a couple get-right games against Colgate. I was at the first one of those, and it was a good old time. Gentlemen got a little fisticuffsy. Some of them were asked to leave the game. It was fun. They continued the weekend in pretty dominating fashion. Caleb Lindstrom is back in the lineup, and Michigan is up next. And these two games are the two biggest games probably in the Big Ten this season. The games that Michigan's kind of risen up to be the other big team in the conference. I know we just got swept by Wisconsin, so maybe I should put the three together. But absolutely massive series. Starts at Munn Ice Arena, then goes to Ann Arbor. The Duel in the D is the next set of these. It'll happen later this year. But this is it. This is the one. It's starting big time now. And finally, unless you guys have anything you want to say about hockey, and I think we'll talk about them more next week, the big win in basketball. Plum goes down to Florida to play North Carolina and absolutely smokes them. Smokes Carolina. So,
fun to
first
watch.
off,
Fun to watch.
Very incredibly fun to watch, in fact. Plum, what do you think about the guys? I mean, I think Jeremy Fears is probably who we have to talk about the most in all of this, and we did last week.
You guys did last week.
Was there anything from your listening that you wanted to add?
You had quite a lot of context on the and I agree, the overblown comparisons to Mateen Cleaves. He is not Mateen Cleaves, nor will he be Mateen Cleaves. I think the sheer number of Big Ten championships and other plaudits, national championships, not to one. So yes, is he? No. Will he be? Probably not. But the point you made last week, which I thought was excellent, was that he's much more in the mold of Mateen than
Cassius Winston, which I also got feedback from our social media manager about that. To clarify, what I was trying to say is that Cassius Winston had like this upper crustiness element to him.
Yeah,
it was he was like a jazz or like a classical music, whereas
he was not flapped. He didn't get
flapped. What kind of
the way that
music was Mateen?
Whereas Jeremy Fears is a little bit more Tom Izzo's Acapulco on the accordion.
There it
We're
is.
gonna say.
Good
That's
save. Good save.
I was really hoping you were going to take the SNL Black Jazz skit.
Did you see how I looked
bait.
up and I was in a minefield, but then I danced right through, and I'm on the other side now?
What kind
Still-
of dancing
still
were you
could
doing?
step on one.
Mhm.
It was the
Uh-huh.
Catherine Zeta-Jones and
Good.
Entrapment. I
Very
think
good.
you'll know
Very good.
that reference.
At any rate, no one did. But at any rate, what I'm glad to say is that he had just had, and they weren't flashes of brilliance. He just had a very brilliant performance. Kurt Tang had already. Someone asked me. We were at my cousin's for Thanksgiving.
Wait, what?
Kurt Tang had a good game. I mean, for
Yeah.
Kurt Tang, he had a great
13
game.
points. And
What game are we talking about right now?
North Carolina.
He had 6 points. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying for Kurt Tang, he had an excellent game.
13 minutes, pardon me.
And the reason I'm saying this is at the beginning of the game, my uncle asked about Kurt Tang, only he didn't say Kurt Tang, and we'll leave it at that. And I said, yeah, not quite a guy. And then I was wrong. And I was so happy to be wrong because Kurt Tang is someone who Izzo continues to be kind of high on in ways that are befuddling and frustrating to me, but can afford to be with the depth that we have. And this was a great night all around. Jackson Kohler, I mean, I'll give him
Another
the car
double-double.
wash special any day. He just good.
And
You
also Cam Moore.
You see, I'm here. The way I'm using car wash there is clearly not hazing.
Yeah, clearly.
You see, it's a reward.
It's
We're reclaiming our
It's-
power.
it's an invitation.
It's an invitation.
Not to go to a freshman from this, but Cam
yeah,
Ward definitely proved
barely
he
legal.
does not back down, is not scared of a scenario, of a team, of a logo. We got
car wash.
everything from
Oh, for car wash, Jesus Christ.
we got everything that we saw earlier in the season from Cam Ward again here tonight. I do have to express my concerns about 3 minutes for Jordan Scott. I understand there's certain circumstances, but Tom Izzo really tightened the lineup on this one. Jeremy Fears, 36 minutes. Cohen Carr, 36 minutes. Jackson Kohler, 32 minutes. Carson Cooper, 30 minutes. This was a NCAA tournament rotation from Tom in the whatever this is, 7th game of the season. Whatever, like, we never really get to see this from him. So just so much to be excited about with
Can
this
I
game.
Can I
confess
tinfoil
something?
for a second on Jordan Scott? I want a tinfoil cap
Please.
on something.
Yeah, please.
I actually think this was a good punishing of Jordan Scott. It was a hey man, shoot the fucking ball. Like, I think this was I can't put you out. Like, I weirdly think this was I understand you're doing all of the right things, but I need you to shoot the ball. If you're going to play the 2 guard, you need to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful. Because you can't tell me that Kurt Tang and Trey Fort are actually doing the things to earn minutes with Tom Izzo, other than being older than Jordan Scott.
Well, we can talk about the Trey Fort of it all, because also Trey Fort doesn't seem to fully understand that he has teammates now that he can pass the ball to. Trey Fort's a little black hole-y right now. Like, it's hard for the ball to get out, and the shooting was not great in this one from him. 0 for 5 from the floor, from 2.
Wait.
And then 50% from 3, 1 for 2 from 3. But I'd like to see him start to understand that he's got teammates now that he can rely on. And I understand that he's jumped around a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe this is new for him, but that was maybe the one glaring weakness that I saw in this game that I'm concerned about in the long term.
Cam
Jordan
Ward.
Scott.
Cam Ward. I wanted to confess something. Thank you for that. Before you said his name last week, I don't know if I've ever heard it said out loud. And I am the frequent listener guest of a podcast that dabbles, nay, pontificates on MSU Sports on a weekly basis. So I'm ashamed of that. Will say that of all the players who performed admirably, Cam performed the least admirably, to my mind, against UNC. And so he still has not retained name memorization. And so as much as Pat Fitzpatrick will be Fat Fitzpatrick, Rick.
Yep, that's it. Nailed it.
Ward Camington will also be him until proven otherwise. Thank you. Well, he's a freshman. I probably should have more grace. All right, that's it. Thank you.
But speaking of which, I have a take here because Jackson Kohler, to be clear, 10 points, 11 boards, not a thing that I'm going to overly complain about. But he did go 2 for 4 from behind the arc, and so 6 of his 10 points were on 3-pointers, which is great. We love that. But 4 for 8 from the floor, which means he went 2 for 6 from Bunnyland. If my math's right. No, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. He went 2 for 4 from Bunnyland.
Thank you for calling it Bunnyland. That's helpful for me. Appreciate you.
Well, that's the thing, is that he doesn't finish particularly well around the rim sometimes. We have these moments with Jackson, and it's gotten better over time, but Cam Ward reminds me a bit of another Ward we saw play here, just far more athletic. In Nicholas Ward, in his ability as a post player to be physical, quick move, gets to the bucket, and makes it. 11 points in 16 minutes is pretty fucking impressive for a freshman, right? Like, I'm just trying to think of other post players who this early have been that effective at the low post.
Mm-hmm.
And the nearest comp I can come up with is Nick Ward.
Tillman, maybe.
As a freshman?
I mean, he made a pretty immediate impact, but yeah, Nick Ward, Ward to Ward, pretty impactful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ward Camington. Very good.
Divine Ugachukwu, I know the stat sheet isn't like full here. But I do think continues to get better every game that we see him out. And I also think it's pretty telling. I know we were up, and so Tom goes conservative or values shutting down possessions. But it was kind of telling that in winning time, it was 99 who was out on the court and not Kurtang or Trey Fort. I don't know. That just, I think, speaks volume to his development and the trust that he's getting, even in 12 minutes.
Yep. So this week, massive games. If you're not paying attention, Iowa is coming to town. That is the beginning of the Big Ten season. And if you're not
Undefeated
paying attention,
Iowa.
They're playing quite well. Yes. Just to put things in perspective, Iowa's KenPom 22 to R15. So like that is going well for them so far. And then on Saturday,
if folks want to comp, they can look at last year's Drake's stats, because that's the coach they hired, and he signettied the situation.
He did very much. And then number 2 KenPom. And number 2, I think, at the polls, or number 1 the polls, Duke is coming to town on Saturday. And we have the opportunity to beat Kentucky, North Carolina, and Duke all in the same year. We've not seen anything like that before.
Nothing. Nor have we been as successful in this run accordingly. I mean, to date.
Yeah, those Kentucky and those North Carolina games, not especially competitive. So
we would have mentally chalked these up as losses, in fact, and still said we have a team that can make a run.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, so I texted you both this question, which is a weird question to be texting this early. Are we good?
We're not bad.
But see, that's interesting. Where are we ranked right now? We're not even.
Teens
Yeah,
might be
we're
up
not
in
even
the
10 yet.
high single digits. at
We
this
will be
point.
in the high single digits by the time this podcast goes out.
Do we? Do we think so? I mean, because UNC
we
isn't.
were at
UNC was like 24 when we beat them, I think.
I think they were 14. We were 11 or 6. They were 16 or 14, and we were 11.
Wait, really? Is this
Yeah.
true?
We're Ken Palm 15, and we're going to be ranked a little higher than 15. Maybe very low double digits, very high single digits.
That's better than I thought. Good. Then I'll shut up. Great.
Yeah.
Good for us.
Can we take just a short jaunt off Grand River and talk about the Players Era
No,
tournament?
we'll do that some other time.
Yeah,
we're at hour 40.
We got to
All
wrap
right.
this
We're at an hour
bitch.
40. We'll do
And
that
we
some
don't
other
even
time.
have questions. We're not even taking Twitter questions today.
No.
Well,
Yep.
that's how much we do not like Pat Fitzgerald. And until then,
But we do hope him all the best. Wish him all the best.
Pat Fitzpatrick. I will get your name right eventually. Until then, gentlemen, I guess I lead with go white now because it's Pat Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
Go green.
Go
Go Fitzpatrick.